What's up, guys? Happy Wednesday. I've got a story for you. Sharing this in hopes that nobody ever does this. That if you practice ketosis, you pay attention to what you're eating. I've done ketosis for 6 years and I've never had a problem because I know that I need to break my fast. Real quick, ketosis is when you are burning fat for fuel. You're not burning carbs or glucose. So you can get into ketosis by taking ketones, exogenous ketones, which is MCT oil, or you can abstain from carbs for a few days and you can get into ketosis. So there's a spectrum of where you want to be when you're doing ketosis. So you want to be in ketosis and out of ketosis. There's this day there was a set of circumstances that landed me in the dangerous zone. Disclaimer, I am not a doctor. I don't know if this is actually what happened. I'm not intending this to be medical advice. This is just my story, and I wanted to share it with you guys in hopes that nobody does this. So Tuesday I woke up, I had my bulletproof coffee with MCT oil. I was intermittent fasting like I do every morning, and then I had a celery juice for lunch. There were some old celery juices here at the juice shop, and I grabbed one of those not thinking, hey, you should probably have some carbs. So I go home. Celery doesn't suppresses your appetite, so you're not really hungry, and it's really hydrating, so you feel great on celery juice. And then I had cauliflower for dinner, which is also very low carb, frozen cauliflower with grass-fed butter and sea salt. So I ate dinner, I did a little workout, I did push-ups to failure, squats to failure, Supermans, and that was it. It was nothing crazy by any means. 8 p.m. rolls around and I start to feel this like burning pressure in my belly. And over the next couple hours, it works its way up into my chest. And I start to realize it's coming in waves and they're progressively getting worse. So I'm just trying to rack my brain, figure out what's going on. Like, I ate super healthy today. Like, it's obviously not a food reaction. Is it the flu? So I took some charcoal, and again, they're starting to progress. They're starting to get more intense. And I'm like, okay, something's wrong. I'm texting my mom. I'm texting my sister. I'm like, are you guys feeling okay? I'm not feeling the greatest. Something's going on. I think for a second it might be the workout that I did. Like, maybe I'm just that out of shape that I'm really sore. Like, it started to hurt. The pressure turned into pain. So at this point I'm laying on the floor in the bathroom and realizing, okay, like, this is getting serious and it's progressing. I have a really bad contraction. It's seized up. I'm so tight. My hands are rocks. You can see all my veins. The contractions are getting so bad at this point. I'm starting to sweat and they won't let up. So I'm struggling to breathe because everything is so tight. And again, they're still getting worse. They're still progressing. My mom is up here like talking me through breathing, making sure I'm not hyperventilating, rubbing oils all over me. And it's to the point where we're like, okay, do we need to go to the hospital? I remember saying, like, I'm really scared. Should we go to the hospital? And we're just talking this through. We're talking through my diet, what I ate, and both of us are like, where are the carbs? Like, where are the carbs? And I was like, yeah, I think I could eat a banana. But at this point, the contractions were so bad and so painful. This is gross, but I was gagging. My body was just reacting that way. So I was like hesitant to eat it. But I did get it down. So the waves would come and they would like build pressure, and then it would stop. I would completely relax and I'd be like, okay, like, I can breathe. I can eat a banana. And we're like strategizing, my mom and I, like, do we call the squad? What do we do? And then comes another contraction and it's awful. I'm crawling around on the ground, like, trying to breathe, trying to relieve any, I don't know if you've ever had a muscle cramp. That's exactly what it was. In my chest, in my stomach, in my back, and my hands, and my quads. I was like, so bad. My legs were shaking. I'm starting to sweat. My mom is rubbing lavender oils all over me. It was terrifying. There's no other word to describe it but terrifying. And she runs downstairs, calls the squad. still like trying to fight through this contraction. It finally lets up, and I'm able to. My mom comes back up. She's like, they're on their way. I'm like, find me some matching socks. I don't want to look like a weirdo in the hospital. I'm able to make it downstairs to the couch before another contraction comes. I keep like comparing it to childbirth or like a menstrual cramp, but in my chest. So I'm like, by this time I've gone through like 10 of these contractions, and I know the drill. So I sit down and I'm trying to like work through my breathing, and my hands turn into fists, and I'm like, okay, this isn't fun. And then the EMTs arrive. They're taking my vitals. I explain to them everything that's going on. The contraction lets up, and I'm able to walk to the like gurney thing and get on that. They get me into the ambulance. They start hooking me up. They put in my port. They get me on the EKG leads, and they run the EKG. And the guys are like, I don't know, like trying to discreetly talk to themselves and not freak me out at the same time. Like, I don't know, I'm seeing something a little off. So let's run it again. Let's check the leads, run it again. They see the same thing, and they say, all right, let's go to Finley. And at that point, I was like, okay, having a heart attack. And I've watched way too much Grey's Anatomy, and I'm like running through all the scenarios, like, here we go. This is how it happens. All the while, I'm still having these contractions. They're not as intense as the like the previous two that were really bad, but they're definitely still there. The guys are tracking them, how long they last. They're writing down everything that I'm telling them. I'm like going through like everything. Like I took ibuprofen at like 8 p.m. I took a charcoal. I drank water at 10:45. I'm like giving them everything that they could work off of. And what also freaked me out is there's 2 hospitals like in the area. Finley is the bigger one here in town, the nicer one. There's a smaller one close by. And when he said, let's go to Finley, I remember just being very discouraged, like, okay, something's really wrong. So we get to the hospital, they're offloading me. He's talking to the guy, telling him everything. They gave me some nitro and aspirin in the squad. I get rolled into my room, hooked up to like the full EKG from my head to toe, all the leads, all the monitors. They're drawing blood off my port. So many nurses and doctors were in. I received such great medical care. I'm so grateful for all the people that they were there and they were getting ish done. So they ran my blood work. They talked about getting an x-ray, and they quickly moved it to a CT, which is discouraging. Again, I was just like, what, a CT? So within like what felt like 30 or 40 minutes, I had my CT done, my blood work done, and my urine test done, and I was just waiting for the results to get back. All the while, every time the blood pressure cuff is going on, my hand is, I look like the Incredible Hulk. And you can see all my veins, everything. And I'm like trying to breathe through this. They're like, are you okay? Are you okay? I'm like, yeah, my hand is just like... So by that time, that was the worst pain and I was feeling was just when the blood pressure was being taken. So the cramps had completely subsided. There was no more like painful contractions. The doctor comes in, he's going over my blood work, and he's like, you look great. You look like you're in great health. I'm like, what? Because the most frustrating thing is not having a reason for all of this. He's like, you look great. Your CT will be done shortly. We'll go over that. I'm like, what in the world? Like praying that like something obvious shows up. He comes back and he's like, again, your CT is clear. Like, you look great. Hi, buddy. They were looking for a blood clot, I think. I don't know. He says, we'll run your cardiac enzymes again, and if those look good, then we're going to discharge you. You're good to go. He's like, you can follow up with your family doctor. And I get it. It's the ER. Like, it's their job is to put out fires, not to take a deep, in-depth look at my health and whatnot. They're there to keep me alive, basically. So he said, comes back in another hour. It's like 3 a.m. at this point. And he says, you look really good. I have no idea. We don't know what happened. And I wasn't presenting with any of the symptoms at the hospital. By that time, the banana had started to digest. And the cramps were, I was relaxed. Things had stopped because I had that glucose, those carbs. So, but I didn't know that at this time. So we get discharged. I grabbed the blood work and my labs off the nurse's station. So grateful that I did that. We get home, I eat another banana and an avocado because I was starving at this point. I'd been up all night and I hadn't eaten anything. And I was really hungry. So I go to sleep. I would wake up the next day at like noon, just exhausted, feeling like I had run a marathon. I don't know what that feels like, but it felt like a truck had hit me. And my mom is cooking me so much good food and eating. I was just starving. And I'm just laying there on the couch looking over my blood work. I went through and flagged everything that was out of like the normal ranges. And then I see my ketone levels and I'm like, oh, I quickly like Google the ranges and it's like 0 to 20 is like negative, like not really there. 30 to 70, I don't remember, is like moderate, like something's off. And then 80 plus, it says call your doctor immediately. And I was measuring in at 80 milligrams per deciliter. And that was after I had eaten the banana and like fully digested it. So who knows what my ketones were measuring when I was having the full-blown contractions. As soon as I saw that, I was like, thank you, Lord. This is it. Like, this is what was going on. A huge sense of relief just came over me, and I was like, even, like, despite even the doctor saying, like, your heart's in great health, like, everything's fine. I was so happy to see that number and to finally put the pieces together. So I'm doing some more researching. I'm just looking around on Google, and it turns out that you can go into what is called ketoacidosis. So you're burning those ketones, and they're a byproduct of you burn the fat, and the ketones, the fatty acids, are a byproduct of that process. So your blood can get very acidic, and it's very dangerous to be in high levels of ketosis for a long time. That's why I drink the carrot juice for lunch. So my muscles, they didn't have any glucose, and that little workout that I did, I think, was just enough to be like, hey, we really need some glucose, which kind of sent me into this whole steamroll of events. And when I ate that banana, everything started to go back. The contractions got lighter and easier, and I was able to breathe, and everything kind of went back into place. But I was in very serious, dangerous ketosis, and my muscles were just, they weren't having it. So grateful that I got that banana in when I did, because I don't think that the hospital would have given me any food. And no disrespect to the doctors and nurses, but they didn't see it. There's a good chance they wouldn't have seen it while I was there. So if I don't even want to think about what would happen if I wouldn't have got that banana in. I've since ordered a ketone strips from Keto Life, I think. There's like the first one on Amazon's a blue bottle. I've been checking my ketones regularly just to make sure that my body isn't producing, ketones irregularly. I stopped taking the brain octane, the MCT oil, and I've been eating carbs like crazy. Those first few days I was starving. And I was so sore. I just had no energy. Walking up the stairs was impossible. I was crawling. It wasn't until like day 4 or 5 that I started to feel like, okay, I can stand up, I can walk around. It was a toll on my body. And it was so stupid. That's like the most frustrating part, is all I needed was carbs. But I somehow managed to make it through the whole day without eating any carbs. It's just a freak accident. I did realize that the following night before, sometimes when I have Chipotle for lunch, I'll take a tablespoon of brain octane oil just for like dinner because I'm not hungry, but I feel like I should have some like fuel for bed. So it started the Monday night. I was in ketosis all night. I woke up and I had my butter coffee and I was in ketosis for that whole day. And by the time that night rolled around, my muscles were starving for glucose. And it just all steamrolled. I've also ordered a blood sugar monitor just to keep track of my blood glucose, because ketones can be life-threatening to people with diabetes because you're not managing your glucose well. So I'm just going to rule out that as a scary kind of gray area. My grandpa did have diabetes, and so did my uncle. So it kind of runs in my family. And I don't know if that exacerbated all the symptoms that I was having. So that, I think, arrives today. I'm going to keep track of my fasting blood sugar. My blood sugar measured 160 when I was in the hospital. He said it was probably from the banana, but I just, again, want to rule that out. So again, I hope sharing this, nobody keep a better eye on your carbs if you practice ketosis. This was the scariest thing of my life. I've never thought that thinking you're gonna die. Gosh, it was scary. I'll keep you guys posted on just kind of what I find. So far, my ketones have all been negative, so it's a good sign. I've been eating a lot of food, a lot of good quality food. I think I've probably lost about 10 pounds. We'll do some blood sugar check-in probably tomorrow. I'll probably take brain octane tomorrow and do a fasting ketone check and a fasting blood sugar check. You can also follow me on Instagram. I've been doing updates while I wasn't feeling good. There's a keto highlight. I kind of updated you guys here and there over on Instagram. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll definitely keep you posted. I'm going to drink my carrot juice now. I'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.